Welcome back to another episode of the BioHub. Today's guest is Melissa Sherman, CEO of MOBILion, a true trailblazer and shake-up separation science. Melissa was employee number one and has since raised 120 million, built a world-class team and launched Mobi, a technology that's transforming how we analyze molecules. Think of it like upgrading from an old film camera to the latest high-definition digital, faster, clearer, and game-changing for drug developers. We dive into her inspiring journey of building MOBILion from the ground up, creating a winning company culture, and why she believes this tech is the future of separation science. So let's jump into it. Melissa, you joined MOBILion as employee number one. What inspired you to take that leap and build this company from the ground up?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me with you today, Max. I appreciate the opportunity to tell our story. So what inspired me? I've been a business leader my entire career. I'm a scientist by training, and the businesses that I've led have always been very kind of scientifically backed or scientifically grounded businesses. And when I saw or came across the opportunity for MOBILion, and I worked for the investment company that made the original investment, just given my business experience in a variety of different industries, I saw this as being something incredibly special because it was a rare opportunity to build a business from a platform technology. And a platform having the ability to commercialize and truly disrupt an industry based on a platform technology means that you have multiple shots on goal. You're not just one product and done. There's so much value to create, so much impact to have. On the contrary, it's very difficult. It's very complicated. It's complex, time and capital intensive. But, I think it's a rare opportunity as a business leader to truly have at your fingertips and at your disposal a disruptive technology that has all kinds of combinations and permutations to advance, in this case, separation science. So it was very exciting for me and something I couldn't pass up.
Amazing. Let's just go on to that point. In terms of the history of separation science, I suppose we spoke about this last time. It's been a bit stagnant. How is MOBILion's technology changing the game, and also what makes it so revolutionary?
Yep. So the incumbent separation technology is liquid chromatography, and liquid chromatography works with mass spectrometry, and it's the gold standard of separating molecules, I'll say downstream from DNA. So when you look at proteins, peptides, lipids, glycans, it is the gold standard platform technology, and it's just really well entrenched. So it does evolve as new drug categories, oligonucleotides, peptide therapeutics. Liquid chromatography does evolve, but it's been the gold standard for 35 years. And some of the kind of complexities or constraints of liquid chromatography is that it can be slow. It's very complicated. It takes very sophisticated users to operate. When you're looking at different analyte classes or different chemistry classes, you have to do a lot of change out of components. There's a lot of instrument downtime. And so what our technology does is we basically convert that. We digitize separation. So where liquid chromatography is liquid, plumbing, solvents, tubing, it's a little slow because you're in liquid phase kinetics. So it's minutes to hours of analysis time per sample. We're just converting that and turning it upside down to what we say we digitize it. We conduct separations in the gas phase on printed circuit boards. And so we get, at the end of the day, better, deeper, more accurate characterization. And it's more automated. It's more specific. It's easier to use. So we've talked about the fact that I do use the analogy of like old school film cameras, and you had to adjust the lens and you had to do all these settings on the camera to get the ideal picture and take the film out and have it processed with wet chemistry, and you get photos back, and some are good and some are bad, and right. And when you think about how that got converted to the digital cameras on our phones that are automated, you don't have to move buttons, you just hit click, right? You see it instantaneously, whether it's a good or bad photo, it's optimized. So it's democratized photography. We do the same thing. We separate in milliseconds to minutes instead of minutes to hours. So you get that throughput. You see real-time display of your separation. So you know what you're getting immediately. It's analyte agnostic, meaning we don't have to change things out to characterize different chemistries and different analyte classes. So it's just kind of automagic, easier, and that ease of use, you're not sacrificing the quality of the analytical result. In fact, you're getting a better analytical result that's more reproducible. And often, because we separate in an entirely different way, we like to say we reveal what others leave unseen. We literally see molecules that it's either challenging or impossible to see with liquid chromatography based separations.
Yeah, I love that comparison from the old film cameras to modern digital cameras. Can you just share some examples of how the innovation is transforming the way drug developers and also other scientists conduct research?
Right. So definitely, the kind of biggest customer user segment in our space is the pharmaceutical industry. And for two purposes, whether they're characterizing the molecules I mentioned, peptides, lipids, glycans, metabolites, to understand biologic mechanisms, to identify drug targets, to identify disease pathways, right, is critically important. And if there's a limitation in their ability to see these critical biologically significant molecules, you're not going to develop the ideal target or understand the right mechanism for
Hmm.
which to develop then your drug to target against. The other application in pharma is characterizing the drugs then, right? So first you got to kind of characterize the patient biology and understand the disease mechanism. Well, then you have to develop a drug that targets that mechanism. So there's also characterization of the drug, whether it's a protein drug, a peptide drug, a small molecule drug. I mean, if you think about in today's day, that all the drugs that we're talking about are GLP-1s that are peptide therapeutics for
Yeah.
diabetes and weight loss, right? They can be very challenging to characterize, and there can be different forms of the drug where one is active and the other is cytotoxic. And we have cases, for example, we have a publication with Genentech where they were developing an oncology drug, and they knew one form of it was active, one form of it was not only inactive, but cytotoxic, resulting in negative side effects. And using incumbent LC and other technologies, they knew it was there from a chemistry perspective. They could not separate and identify, so they were missing or short-sighted, if you will, in the characterization of that drug. We broke through that barrier with a very rapid workflow, minutes of analysis time, where they were able to see that impurity from the active form. Similarly, these things, peptide therapeutics, as I said, is a huge area of research right now from a drug development perspective. And it's peptide engineering, where you can take peptides, you can make them cyclic versus linear. You can do all kinds of things to optimize the efficacy and stability in the body. But that makes it very difficult to characterize. When you have a cyclic and you break up the circle and you characterize it, the parts that you break it up into can look the same or be inseparable with
Hmm.
incumbent techniques. We have the resolving power and the ability to separate those fragments and get more accurate characterization. And in fact, one of our customers is submitting our instruments data, our Mobi platform's data, to the FDA.
Oh, wow.
It's our first Mobi data that's going into the FDA for a drug submission for the impurity characterization. And similarly, they knew these impurities were there, but there were limitations with liquid chromatography. They just couldn't see them, and we were able to see them very rapidly and specifically and accurately.
What a milestone that is. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'll comment too, drug development is huge, and, biomarker discovery and understanding disease mechanisms with biologically significant molecules. It is also used in food ingredient, natural products,
Okay.
plant and animal natural product characterization. It's used in environmental characterization. So if you hear a lot about PFAS or forever compounds, these are fluorinated compounds that have been found to be, in the environment from a variety of different products, over the past 30, 40 years. And now they're finding them in our blood. And, what the effect of these compounds is remains to be seen. And there's a significant amount of environmental remediation that needs to be done. So using traditional separation methods, there's just a threshold at which these forever compounds can be characterized. We break through that threshold. So we
Yeah.
see more faster that other techniques can't see to improve the quality of that environmental molecule characterization. So it's all
Yeah.
about seeing things faster, better, more accurately.
No, I think it's awesome. It's awesome. And I want to talk a little bit more about the growth of the company and the build. We talk about raising $120 million, growing from number one, i.e., you, to 50 plus people. What are some of the key strategies that helped you scale the company?
Yeah, I always say that's the hardest thing. For me, being a scientist by training and a business leader by experience, science and business and technology come easy to me. I think the most difficult thing is the peopling
Okay.
and growing. Yeah, I mean, I think to grow a business, there's two things in my mind that are essential. One is process, and the second is culture. And I actually wrote the cultural manifesto for our company before I wrote the business plan, because I think the business plan is kind of the what you're going to do. The cultural manifesto is how you're going to do that. How are you going to act, and what principles are you going to have that guide what you do every day? And I think that's just as important. Um, on the business side, from a process perspective, as an early stage startup company, you have to be careful that you don't have too much process, that it slows you down, but you have to have process in order to scale. I remember the biggest, we went from 10 people to 25 people. It was the biggest leap because the first 10 people know everything, and it's very easy to communicate in one room with those 10 people. When you're 25, 35, 45, 55, it's much more difficult, and you start to have different functions
Yeah.
in the group instead of 10 people doing everything. And from a functional perspective, we give people the autonomy that whatever you should look at your job as you own this business or this function or this role, and you should treat it as your own business. And as a business leader, you should always be looking, or a function leader or a role leader, we call it the 3 R's. Should always be analyzing your business or your function or your role. The first R is results. I mean, you have to have goals, alignment around goals in order to measure results. If you don't have a goal, then how do you know what to measure? And so you should be measuring your results and analyzing your results on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. The second R is root cause analysis. So what is the true root cause of that result? And we look at good results and we look at bad results. The third R, if it's a good result and you understand why is this working, the third R is repeat. Scale it, right? What is the root cause? Why is it working so well? Do more of that. If it's a bad result, or how do you grow it even, right? How do you do more of that faster? If it's a bad result and you understand the root cause, well, then it's a resolution. You've got to fix it, right? You can't just keep doing it and hope for a better outcome. You've got to make a conscious change. What am I going to change with me or my team that is going to result in a different outcome? And so, having that kind of thought process of continuous analysis, continuous improvement, you own your business and your function. It's not left for the leadership team. It's left for you every single day to make sure that you're thinking about your role, and are you continuously improving? Are you monitoring the results and optimizing to be the best that you can be?
Yeah. I
I'd
love that you
say,
went down that route as well, down the culture
yeah,
deck route and manifesto.
yeah,
We do a similar thing here at Avetix, and they spoke about Netflix's culture deck. It came out in 2009, and even years and years later, that's deemed to be one of the most important documents to come out of Silicon Valley, which I think says it all.
right. Oh, 100%. I mean, our cultural manifesto, I wrote it when I was employee number one. I did a fact check and a few years in, and surveyed anonymously our team and said, what do you believe is our cultural manifesto? Like, what makes you happy to work here? And what do you enjoy about working here and how we operate as a business? And it was remarkable to me how the anonymous survey inputs matched to the original cultural manifesto. It has not changed or drifted. And some of the things in our cultural manifesto are, extreme accountability, customer first. We say our opinions don't count. We can form a hypothesis, but everything has to be validated by a customer or a user.
Yeah.
Alignment around goals, teamwork, the ability to make mistakes, learn from mistakes. Like, don't be afraid everybody makes mistakes, and we're continuously learning every single day. So, and I'd say probably the best one, like, this is really hard what we do. So just having fun. I mean, if you don't have fun and laugh and bring joy or have passion about what we do and how we do it, it's going to be a rough road. It'd be
Yeah,
hard to
yeah. I've
survive.
heard so many people say that, like I talk
Yeah.
to, I mean, I'm quite inquisitive. I ask entrepreneurs, how did you get there and all that? And what advice would you give? And one of them is just enjoy the journey, because you can spend
Yes.
so much time
Yep.
looking at this end goal and thinking, wow, it'd be incredible to be there. But just, people say
Yep.
those early days, it's like gold dust, just sit there and enjoy it.
Right. 100%. Yep. You have to have fun. And I think, leading a company like this, it's the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And I tell my team that all the time. And that's not even, and sometimes that happens in a day. It's not
Yeah.
even, over the course of the year, if you reflect back, right? Sometimes in any given day, you can have the highest of the high and the lowest of the low. And you kind of have to enjoy that, right? You have to find that exhilarating, and you have to be able to work your way out of particularly the lows. Like, sometimes you
Yeah.
just got to laugh about it. You just got to laugh about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that leads really nicely onto our next question about what's some of the biggest challenges you faced. I've said in commercializing MOBILion's first product, but I suppose just overall, what are the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it is actually very specific to commercializing our first product, right? Crossing the chasm from a product development company to a commercial entity is really difficult.
Yeah.
So it's a huge inflection point in a company. And then, you add to it, in our case, in analytical instruments, it's a very capital intensive industry segment. It's expensive to build the instruments and get a new technology like this to
Yeah.
market. There are long sales cycles in the instrumentation space. There's a very entrenched user base, right? So liquid chromatography has been the gold standard for 35 years. So, the kind of the resistance to change from a human nature perspective, you just have to understand and appreciate. And with I always say, part of what you do in business is your business operation. Part is luck and timing, and we had very bad luck and timing with Mobi in terms of hitting the industry with unprecedented headwinds. So the analytical instrumentation industry, has kind of never been this low for this long. It is cyclical. It drops, it comes back, it drops and comes back. But we happened to launch a new technology at the same time that our industry was, at a low point and remains at a low point. So, it's time and patience and persistence and just execution. Coming back to the 3 R's. If something's not working, time is not a reason, right? Just wait for something. No, you can't just wait. You have to actually proactively fix it. So,
Yeah.
time is one thing an early stage company doesn't have in a capital intensive market. And yeah, it's been a challenge. It's been a great learning experience.
Yeah. I can imagine. I can imagine. And then this leads on quite well as well. So how do you balance innovation with execution to ensure the technology actually does deliver on its full potential?
Yeah, I mean, look, in the product development, earliest stages of the product development, getting user requirements and incorporating that into your product. So it's part of the process. And,
Yeah.
we have a quality system, we have a stage gate product development process that we built and implemented. I came from big company background, so kind of stealing my experience from big company best practices, right? It's essential. If you're going to build the right product, but you have the wrong user requirements, which is step one of your product development process,
Yeah.
you're going to get it wrong, right? So it's essential to have a good product development process that ensures that you have the right user input along the way. That being said, it's still very difficult. Product market fit is one of the hardest things to get right. So for us, it's all about voice of the customer, market back thinking. As I said before, I always say to our team, whether they're engineers or application scientists or business people, our opinions don't count. You can form a hypothesis, but you have to go and validate it with the customer to de-risk it. And, even with all those checks and balances, I think in our industry, these products are so complex. rarely do I say never, but I think in this case I can say never. You're never going to get it 100% right, right? And you can design until you think it's perfect, and you put it out and you find that you missed something or need to improve something. So we like to launch products maybe sooner than the average bear, but launch them to early adopters
Oh,
very
interesting.
transparently to the early adopters to say, you're going to be part of the first cohort for us as an early adopter, but we're going to listen. You have to agree to give us feedback. It's not going to be perfect. We've designed it. We think it's great, and we can't see anything wrong with it, but we know we're not you, and we're not going to be using this day in and day out for your business and the problems you're solving. So we launch, we listen, and we improve.
Wow.
We have a
Okay.
dedicated we have a dedicated customer success team that is solely responsible for post installation success. We are on a hotline. We've got a web-based, any question, any issue. We've got a web portal that customers can submit things to. We have application support to help them troubleshoot. And then getting that product feedback is essential, because then that gets rolled into our Gen 2 and our Gen 3. So we
Yeah. Yeah.
never stop listening to the customer.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So, what's next for MOBILion? What's coming?
Yeah, what's super exciting about this, as I said from the beginning, and it's, why I took on this challenge to begin with, having a platform technology, right? And being able to pretty easily change the design of the printed circuit board platform technology we use and the electronics that control it. We're just getting started in our product development roadmap. It's, the sky is the limit from a design possibility and a functionality possibility in ways that really didn't exist before, that people only dreamed of from
Yeah.
an ion manipulation and separations technology perspective. So we have Mobi, which is our first product that was designed for high resolution separations, revealing what others leave unseen, attached with high res mass spec. But our next foray that we just announced at the end of 2024 was getting into proteomics and multiomics for discovery, proteomics, lipidomics, metabolomics applications.
Nice.
So again, it's more identifications, more identifications at lower concentrations with faster analysis time that really kind of breaks open the barriers of disease biomarker discovery, drug development. It's incredibly exciting for us.
Yeah. Incredible. Incredible. And then, I suppose, finally, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to transform an industry, just like you've done basically with MOBILion?
Yeah, I would say never give up. When you're transforming an industry, particularly a very entrenched one, right?
Yeah.
Where right, the gold standard technology hasn't changed drastically in 35 years. And now you're going to come in and tell this user population there's a new, different, better way to do things. Overcoming that skepticism and that entrenched predicate is really hard and very time consuming. So, making sure there's enough capital to get the company through that, initial adoption phase, which can be very slow, and just never giving up, having the patience to be able to do it, setting your company up to succeed through it. It always takes longer than you think. It always costs more money than you think. But if you have the patience and you believe it, right? If you just believe it, industries wouldn't change and shift if there weren't people and companies like us to just make it so. Like, you just don't give up. It's going to get there. The question is when, and understanding it's going to take a long time. So, having plan A, B, C, and D, because plan A rarely works as you expect. So always having the backup plan and the backup to the backup plan. And then I would just say it's a different dynamic. I said it's the highest of the highs, it's the lowest of the lows. You have to be not only comfortable with risk and uncertainty, but you almost have to thrive on it. If it's almost like it has to be exhilarating to you. Like the
Hmm.
day-to-day change, the day-to-day, no way that just happened, because things happen so fast and so unexpectedly. If you don't love that challenge, it may not be the dynamic for you, if you love that challenge and you kind of, it's fun and exhilarating, it's the best place in the world to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And I think what you say is right. If you want to revolutionize and be a bit different, normally industries work in trends, don't they? And they follow trends. If you want to be the new setter and you go out on your own, it's obviously it's going to be tough. But
Yes.
you're doing it right. Like say you're passionate, you believe in what you do, it'll happen.
Right. Yep. Never give up.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, Melissa. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Max. It was my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
Amazing. And please, everyone, like and subscribe to the BioHub. Thank you.
Thanks, Max.